I memorize the basics, making strange faces, but we will not let it through. The darkness and the sense of being born to lose. This is the night, this is the sound. Here comes the war machine. Welcome to another bloody horrid episode of the apocalypse. Congratulations, by the way, for choosing the apocalypse. A bold choice, a stout choice. An idiotic one, but a choice nonetheless. And since you have unwisely chosen the apocalypse, you are in urgent need of a guide. Unfortunately for me, I happen to be that guide, your humble guide. Nicholas, so good to see you. I am at your service. For a few hours. It appears we have a military takeover of our country. And it doesn't appear there's anything anyone can do about it. It's already happening. I told you it would get ugly. I told you this was a Reich. Do you believe me yet? Because everybody and their grandma knows, every child knows on this planet, that what's going on here is a literal takeover of America, a continuance of a coup that started on January 6th, many years ago. When you watch the first day of the protests in Los Angeles, I saw nothing that warranted the National fucking Guard, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows Donnie has a grudge against Gavin Newsom, and he persecuting liberal areas and liberal people in government gets the rubes all hot and bothered. Everyone knows what this is. That's why for a second time tonight, Gavin said, just come and arrest me already. We all know what this is, son. None of this is legitimate. We all know what it is. Just arrest me. You want a scalp? You looking for a scalp? Arrest me. Leave the fucking people alone. That's a good man versus the Antichrist. That's the difference. You see that? He's willing to put his own head on the chopping block to save his people. You don't see that too many times in politics or anywhere. He's saying flat out, come arrest me, son. Let's just go right to the end game and leave the people alone. That's someone willing to make a sacrifice. Although I don't dig everything Gavin's doing right now, he's the leader of that state, and he's saying, come arrest me, son, if that's what you're looking for. Why we got to go through this facade where you have the military on my streets. And there's something I meant to say yesterday, and I really should have said it, but I forgot, because I make so many points. And if we start with this first screenshot of Donnie, this was 11-something p.m. yesterday, so last night, at some point. Looking really bad in LA. Bring in the troops. That's in caps, that bring in the troops. Yeah, that's a dictator. That's what a dictator sounds like. If you didn't know, Rubes. You would never hear Joe Biden or see Joe Biden post something like this regarding troops in an American city. You wouldn't see Joe Biden deploy troops in an American city over a vengeance tour, over an attempted takeover so he can be dictator. That's all this is. So Donnie says late last night, after he literally stoked this fire, remember where it started. No one had any problems till a bunch of people with machine guns and masks started grabbing people in Home Depots and various other locations. That may tend to upset the community. We're not quite used to that in America. Guys with machine guns indiscriminately grabbing people. Whoever has, the brownest skin. That's all they were looking for. But this is what I really want to say. And I'll probably say it again later. For years, as we talked about this, and especially since November, I've heard many people say the military would never turn on Americans. They would disobey those orders. It wouldn't happen. I knew every time someone said that they were just utterly wrong. Unfortunately, I'd love for them to be right. But through my experience with humans during my almost 50 years, however fucking old I am, as if it matters, I've noticed that most human beings would stab their grandma in the back for an extra sugar cube. And that's not an exaggeration. So I thought to myself, every time someone brought that point up, when this thing goes military, and it will, we all know it, I knew it 10 years ago, that's why I've been yelling on camera for 10 fucking years. He staged a coup last time. You didn't think he was going to pull the military out this time and use it against people and states and countries? You didn't think that was going to happen? I knew it was going to happen 10 years ago. So this question's been around for 10 years. Will the military listen to him? Obey the orders? Will they be the hand of the Reich? And again, remember, he's surrounded by sycophants this time. He didn't have that last time. He tried to install 3 at the end. I believe Kosh Patel, Chris Miller, and somebody else all should be in prison, by the way. Not because I don't like them. Just because they're traitors to this nation, and they helped an attempted coup, and it almost succeeded. So Donnie installed sycophants at the very end of his last term, which kind of baffled me. I knew he only had a few weeks left. I'm like, why is he installing these people? Well, then we saw January 6th, so we know exactly why he installed those people. They all sat back, ate hot wings, laughed as cops got beat to death. That's what happened that day. And they did it intentionally. The Guard and other authorities were intentionally held back by Donnie Shitbags, Chris Miller, etc. That's why they should be in prison. And that's the only reason. Then again, after that, he stole 3,000 classified documents as if they were his own personal papers, but whatever. He should be in prison for that too. For espionage as well. And theft of classified documents. You'd be in prison for it, son. In a New York motherfucking minute. But again, this is what I really need to say. So every time this past 10 years, someone brought up that, will the military listen? I always knew the answer to that question. And I always knew every person that said they wouldn't listen, they'd put their guns down, they'd resign, whatever, was dead fucking wrong. And again, I wish they were right and I was wrong. But unfortunately for me, my experience on this planet, like I said, most humans would stab their grandma in the back for an extra sugar cube. Then let's make the jump to, what human do you know that would give up their job, their career, their income, their ability to feed their family for you? I don't know any. Not one. I bet you don't either. You might lie to yourself and say you do know one. But you don't, son. Don't worry. So I expect pretty much every military man and woman to just follow orders. Just like the Nazi soldiers did. Well, the test finally came. Los Angeles, 2 days ago. The ICE people were sent there with machine guns en masse to grab people intentionally to start a ruckus. They got what they were looking for. They got the minor skirmishes. They got the pissed off populace because they're kidnapping people at machine gun point. Then the Reich uses that as an excuse to call in the National Guard, take over the state's National Guard. I've never seen that move that I can remember. unless it was for a disaster or something. What did I say to you when that order was given, the day it was given on camera here? I said, now we'll see. I said the head of the National Guard of California should be resigning right now and telling his troops not to obey that order. Because I guarantee in his estimation it was not warranted, whether he admits that or not. And it was a federal takeover of the National Guard for no reason, just because a dictator wanted to and wants to set the precedent of troops on our fucking streets. And right now it'll be on liberal streets, then it'll be on yours, son. Because the liberals are the last thing in the way. You're just worthless rubes going along for the ride. You're going to follow Donnie right over the abyss. Most of you. I expect very few of you to turn the other way. Based on my experience with humanity, I'm sorry. Remember the sugar cube? That's you. So we saw the test. Everyone failed. The head of the National Guard itself, they failed. They followed orders. They're on the streets doing things right now. Now we're deploying some Marines too, according to Mr. Hegseth. Now we not only have National Guard, we have actual military, active duty on the streets. According to the Reich. I'm just going by what they're saying. So they obeyed as well. Not a very good sign for us, is it? But that's humanity, son. That's been my experience with them. They ain't gonna go to the brig for you. They ain't gonna lose their pension, all the time they invested, get dishonorably discharged, lose their income for you. Never. So it's going exactly how I thought it would go, and it's going exactly as planned for the Reich. They've been waiting for this moment a long time to get actual troops on the street under the command of Donnie Shitbags. Now they've done it. Again, I told you it was a Reich. I told you they're evil. I told you they're of Satan. I told you they're Nazis. I told you they're going to do this stuff. All that stuff that we were worried about, that you people pointed and said liberals are going to do it for decades and decades because Vlad told you to and the RNC told you to, like good sheep, when you've been naught but the hand of it. Alex Jones, again, one of the main preachers that the liberals and the Clintons they're going to do all this. Obama's going to do all this. New World Order, Satanists, pedophiles. You heard it all, baby, in between snake oil commercials. Look at the fat cunt now in Moscow with Dugin and Lavrov, etc. Being a speaker at a Dugin conference. You people are the literal hand of Satan that went along with that for that ride with Alex. And are still on it now. You are the hand of Satan, so is Alex. And he's not even hiding it anymore. He's so desperate. Yeah, I'm just going to join the Russians for a conference. The literal Russian Mr. Dugin, who wrote the manifesto for this movement that ruined America forever. So Alex just showing us he with the Russians now. I wonder how long he's been. He's been spouting the talking points for about 20 years, so I'd assume 20 years. He did kind of blow up out of nowhere, didn't he? I wonder where some of that money may have come from. He's showing us now by being in Moscow with Mr. Dugin, giving speeches with Russians in Moscow. You fucking idiots. That's if you really cared about any of this stuff, you're an idiot. If you didn't, it was just a team sport, and whatever you got to say or do for your team to win, well, then you did it intentionally. And you're of Satan and you're evil. You weren't tricked. And at this point, how can anyone really say they were tricked? Let's be honest. So, again, the real point I'm trying to make here, the most important point, you got your test that you were looking for. Will the military turn on you, American citizen, anywhere in this country? For no reason, just because they were ordered to? Yes. Resoundingly, yes. That's where this is going. You think this is going to be the first and only instance of troops on your streets? Nope. I knew it 10 years ago. If he would have been let loose to do what he wants to do, who are his favorite people in the world? Kim Jong-un, Vlad Putin, Xi, etc. Why? Because they can kill whoever the fuck they want. Any day they want. Any way they want. Any time they want. That's the thing you've put in charge. And he would do that to you as soon as, look at you, son. So one more time for emphasis. We all wondered whether the military would turn on us. We heard Alex Jones and all these people talk about it for years, but they associated with liberals. Meanwhile, you were the hand of Satan, and so was Alex. Literally. You helped all this happen. You made it happen. You preached its gospel. The gospel of Satan. Well done. So we've heard about this for decades and decades, and we were all on the lookout for it. Well, it's here now. What are you doing? You still watching Alex Jones talking about the deep state as he's giving speeches with Dugin? Is that what you're doing? It doesn't matter. It's too late anyway. We already down the road. I said we were waist deep. Now we about rib deep. Unless you in LA, you got machine guns pointed right at you. You about clavicle deep. Guys in Seacot, they over their head. They dead. You wanted to know the answer to the question. I certainly did. And we just saw it. Did you see the head of the National Guard of California resign? Absolutely not. Did you hear him critique the move at all in any way, shape, or form? Absolutely not. Troops right on the ground, no problem. Federal seizure, no reason for it. J6 was much worse than what I see in Cali going on the past 2 or 3 days. Much worse. No National Guard call. How do you justify that? You can't. You're just a hypocrite. That's all. If you preach in this gospel, there needs to be troops on the street of Cali. Then you must have been preaching the gospel. They need the guard at J6 too, right? Because that was 1,000 times worse, by the way. Cops got the shit beat out of them. And the people in charge that could have stopped it, sat back, let it happen, because they wanted it to go forward. They wanted it to succeed, literally. Again, people, I really can't give any of you the benefit of the doubt after you watched him try and overthrow the government, become the literal embodiment of treason and a traitor to his nation by staging a coup. And other people took part. Alex Jones, Publix heiress, wife of a Supreme Court justice. Many people took part. They've gotten rewards. They've gotten pardons. One of the family members of one of them that died is getting $30 million or $5 million or something of your money after they tried to overthrow the government. Some of them are in ICE uniforms right now. That's how fucking over your country is. And again, you wanted the answer to the question. Again, I want to stress this. Will the troops turn on you? Yes. Resoundingly. No problem. That's what I thought. Because in America, baby, it's every man for himself, right? You're seeing the result of that fucking thinking. The end of our fucking empire. The end of our country. The end of our world, even. That's how far this goes. That's what you've done. And again, if you're cheering for troops on the streets of Cali, wait till they hit your streets. Will you be cheering then? When you're in Home Depot trying to shop and they're tackling Mexicans or anyone that looks Latin with a machine gun wrapped around their shoulder? Will you think it's so cool when they're subjugating you, you fucking moron? You don't even see it coming. That's the saddest part. I saw it coming 10 years ago. And you fools fell for it 3 times. You voted for him 3 times, even after you watched him try and overthrow your government and become a dictator. But that's what you wanted, right? You're that weak-minded. You need a dictator. You need a king. The rest of us don't, son. We ain't you. Praise Jesus. We liked America where, the president left after 4 years or 8 years, whatever happened in the vote. That's what we liked. We're not weak-minded. That's why we're the ones that are going to be arrested first. Liberals and people that talk just like me, they'll be the ones that'll be arrested. They're the ones that have troops on their streets first. Why, Rubes? Why aren't they on your streets first? You ask yourself that question? Idiots. Because you're not an obstacle. You're meaningless. You're sheep going along. We're not. That's why we'll be arrested. That's why we'll be killed, etc. Then they'll get to you. Don't worry. I promise. It's not even it's a foregone conclusion at this point. This is Laura Loomer, Donnie's old side piece. Time to deploy Palantir tech to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. You know you'd love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. Well, again, Miss Loomer, plastic face, us sociopaths out here that aren't trying to get on the end of Donnie's knob and shit, we don't want to see it. In fact, it's an actual literal dystopian nightmare reminiscent of the novel 1984, reminiscent of 1984 China that the Chinese are experiencing right now. We don't want to see it. In fact, it's the end of our culture. It's the end of society. It's the end of our world, this technology. It's the only thing AI was created for. It has no real other purpose. It's fucking worthless, honestly. There's only one reason to invent it. There's only one real need that it can satisfy. The need to police 7 billion people. That's the only real need it can ever satisfy. We don't need it for anything else. To be a brain to take all of our jobs and to subjugate the masses. It's the only entity that's able to keep tabs on 7 billion people, son. A man can't do it. Even with 18 computers around him, he still can't keep track of it all. AI can, though. No problem. So here's Laura Loomer, Donnie's side piece or ex-side piece, literally doing an advertisement for using Peter Thiel and his company to help with the illegals in Los Angeles. Yeah, again, I don't know how much more evil or dystopian it has to get before you believe. When you start, I guess when you're under constant surveillance, once they have the full Chinese model implemented here, and they're almost there. And then you got traders like Miss Loomer telling them to go use it. I have a feeling Miss Loomer will end up like Jezebel or something. Read how she ended up I have a feeling she's going to end up that same way. Just a hunch I have. I don't know. She's saying to deploy this dystopian technology on us, on California. I'm sorry, this evil doesn't make sense to me. It's not logical. Therefore, to me, it just feels, or it seems, it appears, it's supernatural. But here's someone walking the other way. Again, I love to find these examples. This is the city of Glendale, California. After careful consideration, the city of Glendale has decided to end its agreement with U.S. Homeland Security, ICE, to house federal immigration detainees. This local decision reflects our core values: public safety, transparency, and community trust. So Glendale is saying, yeah, we don't want to work with the Gestapo anymore. We don't want to be part of the Reich. We're going to go our own way now. Thanks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, certain people are turning the other way and saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be a part of this. The city of Glendale is. I like to see it. It's a good thing, and it's going to be rare, unfortunately. Most people are just scared animals. Again, willing to stab their grandma in the back for an extra sugar cube. I'm telling you, son. And again, I take no pleasure in saying that. Just been my experience on this planet. I've observed people. I've seen it time and time again. It doesn't matter where you go, what type of job you have, what workplace you're at, whatever. Family, friends, spouses. It doesn't matter. It's all the same experience. With a rare, decent human being thrown in the middle here and there, everywhere. That's all I've seen. So it's good. And that's how I know these turnarounds will be rare, because that's not the normal human character. Let's put it that way. New York Times, California will sue Trump over National Guard deployment, Newsom says. This was early in the day. This headline's from 10:13 a.m. I thought to myself, oh, well, it's kind of too late. The troops are already on the ground, man. You can take it to court, but what good is that going to do? Maybe you'll finally get him out of there, but I doubt it. In other words, the damage is already done. The boots are on the ground. It's too late, really, to talk about lawsuits, isn't it? But I hope they win. I doubt Donnie will give a fuck, though. He doesn't seem to take judgments very seriously anymore. And, that's because Merrick Garland let his scumbag ass, just skate for 4 years instead of locking his ass up. And again, I'm not like you people. I would never want someone locked up just because I don't like them. If they haven't committed a crime, even if I hate their fucking guts, I will never advocate for them being locked up. We watched Donnie, I could name a million crimes, but we watched Donnie try and overthrow our government. I don't care if you're on Team MAGA, it's still wrong. It's still illegal. It's still one of the worst things you can do, especially as a president of the United States. That's why he should be in prison for the millionth time, Rubes. I'm not you. Don't ever mistake me for you. Taco fell. I thought that was pretty ingenious. And again, everyone loves to make fun of Biden when he falls. So, fair's fair, right, guys? Taco fell. I like that. Clever. Well done. This person, this video has gone all over the fucking internet. And when it first was being circulated, and even some people now are still saying it, this guy right here in the hat with the long hair and a sweatshirt over in LA during the protests, he's yelling at a bunch of troops. And he's saying what I'm saying. You should be standing over here with us. You troops pointing the guns at us. You're the hand of the Reich, which is evil. You should be standing over here with us. That's exactly what I was saying. The head of the National Guard should have resigned. The troops should have refused the order, based on the situation on the ground, that it wasn't necessary, that everyone saw what it was, and everyone knew what it was. They didn't. They moved right on in without hesitation. That means your country's really over, son. Now Donnie knows he can get away with it. The precedent has been set. That was intentional. This was the proving grounds, Los Angeles. Now we know the public will tolerate National Guard seizures and troops on their streets. America is truly fucking over, and it's never coming back, and it's only going to get worse. So this gentleman, everyone was saying it was Kurt Russell's son, and I forget Kurt Russell's son's name, but everyone was saying this. And this video went everywhere, all over the place. It turns out I'm about 99% sure, I'm pretty sure it's been verified at this point, that it's not Kurt Russell's son. Does that make him any less valuable, or what he's doing any less valuable? Absolutely not. He was saying, I'm tired of this. You troops should be on our side. You should be standing over here with us. What are you doing? He preached better than the best preacher to the people that needed to hear it, son. Preaching that word that you pretend you're about. This man was preaching it for real, right to their faces. That takes courage. That takes balls. And this man is the most valuable thing on earth. Let's look at him again. Why is he the most valuable thing on earth? Because he is the truth. That thing you're trying to kill, MAGA. Because it doesn't let you have all the power. It doesn't get you that feel-good feeling of persecution of people you don't like. That's something else I want to say quickly I was thinking about. I've told you this many times, but I don't sit at home like you people that have your name on this. When the next president comes around, let's say Gavin Newsom was running, okay? I wouldn't sit home and hope that Gavin Newsom wins so he can fuck with Republicans and MAGA people across the country. Persecute them. That's what you people literally do. You hope, you look for a strongman type that's going to persecute the people you don't like. And then you go to church on Sunday and do the whole facade. I want to let you know there are non-sociopaths in this world. I am one of them. That aren't in the cult. And we never sit home. We never think for 1 second, I hope the next Democratic president comes in and, persecutes the farmers, persecutes anyone who's MAGA, goes down to Arkansas and puts troops on the ground for no fucking reason. Maybe even kills some people we don't like. Us non-sociopaths out here, nice to meet you. We don't think that way. That's the difference between us and you. And the reason your country's over, whether you know it or not, irrelevant, is because you have that mentality. You were looking for evil. You were looking for someone to do evil and persecute other people. That's literally what you were looking for. One of a million reasons your country is over. Your children's future is gone. One of a million reasons we're going to go more and more authoritarian. The corporations can't have democracy anymore. The oligarchs can't have democracy anymore. They've stolen all they can steal under that system. They want to steal more, son. So they need to do away with that system, okay? There's also a spiritual satanic element, a Nazi element, all that stuff. So this man was saying, you're on the wrong side of history. You should be standing here with us. You took an oath to the Constitution, not the fascists in the White House. They're sending men in fatigues and weapons of war into our communities. Yeah, the communities seemed fine until the guys with machine guns and masks started kidnapping people. That's when it got a little testy. I love what this guy said. I love what he did, because his name just went on a list. His face just went in a file, by the way. This man is the most valuable thing on earth. Why? Because he is the truth. And boy, are we lacking that lately. And people love it. They love preaching the inverse of reality. It gets their team the victory. They get nothing out of it, but you know, they get to sit back and watch them persecute the people they don't like. To them, that's a victory, even though it's not a victory at all. And it's why your country's gone. One more time, this man's the most valuable thing in the world. He's worth more than every maggot on the planet, son. Lest you turn away. I was impressed with this gentleman. And his name just went in a file, and his picture just went in a file. I promise you. Takes balls, courage, and he was preaching that good word that you pretend to believe in as you hope for persecution of the people you don't like. Unwarranted persecution, by the way. You know, the exact opposite of Jesus Christ. That's what you embody. And that's what we've been trying to tell you for 10 years. This picture right here, it's a bunch of mounted police on horseback in LA. There was a gentleman on the ground with a backpack. On the ground. So I'm watching this video that's like a minute long or a few minutes long. I'm watching the horses circle him. I'm watching them interact with the guy. The guy's laying on the ground. They start hitting him with sticks. I guess mounted police in LA have these long sticks that they carry so they can reach you to hit you with. So they're hitting him with, he's on the ground. I'm thinking, why aren't they getting off the horse and cuffing this guy? What are they doing? Well, they didn't know they were being filmed. Several of them, 4 or 5 of them, hit him with sticks. One of them rode the horse right over him intentionally. They hit him a few more times. Then when the guy finally got up, an officer comes running over, grabs him by the backpack, slams him back on the fucking ground. I don't know. I'd call that police brutality, wouldn't you? Now, to be fair, you know, for the people that are all MAGA and shit, are going to say, well, you're not talking about all the other stuff that happened. There were rocks thrown at police cars on the highway. I saw that footage from yesterday. There were rocks thrown at police. There were fires set. There were tear gas canister fires that they started. The cops. So, yeah, it went back and forth. But I'm sorry, when a guy's laying on the ground, man, what are you doing? Why are you beating his ass? For no reason. I saw the horse-mounted police smash somebody's window for no reason. I'm like, what's up with these mounted police? They got special rules where they're allowed to abuse citizens? I didn't know that. Now I know, I guess. So that's what this video is right here. And you know, there's no other way to describe it. This guy's laying on the ground and they're beating him. One of them rode the horse over. You could kill somebody with a horse hoof hit to the head, son. Dead. What do horses weigh? 1,000 pounds? Then with a human on top of it? You know how strong their feet and legs are? Could kill a human easily. Trample your skull like it was fucking butter. They did that to this man. Again, you're watching the military takeover of your country in real time. You're literally watching it as you're cracking jokes, I'm sure. Whether this military presence stays in Cali or not, it's already over. The precedent's been set. That's why I'm saying it's the military takeover of your country, because you're going to see more and more and more of this. Now permission has been given. So the military takeover of your country is active and in progress right now, and you get to watch it on television. That's how deep in we is, and even the Rube knows it. And again, I must say, I know you've heard a lot of people talk like this over the years. They were all wrong. Every single one. That's not their fault. They were making a guess or an estimate on what they saw. Or they were being disingenuous. Depends who it is, what side. It depends on many factors. This time is different. Donnie Shitbags is different. This Reich is different. Have you noticed? I certainly have. These are people that take joy in doing evil and hurting others. Bondi, Levitt, Donnie, Patel, Bongino, etc. They're sociopaths. They're sycophants. Not a one of them qualified. Not a fucking one. So again, this time when you hear the crazy dude with the sunglasses say this is a military takeover of your country in progress, and it's not going to end here in Cali, whether they pull back the guard or not, already in progress, already happening. Too late to stop it. This time, it's real. Otherwise, my tired ass wouldn't be here right now. But, you know, I understand how important meeting the moment is right now. Because there ain't going to be that many more moments, son. There ain't going to be, 10 years from now, I'll join the fight. 5 years from now, I'll join the fight. I'll focus on what I need to do right now. And then I'll join the fight later. Speaking of sociopaths. So again, there won't be, I'll join the fight later. The fight's already half over. Donnie has all the sycophants, all the agencies, troops on the ground, guns in people's faces. Guys with machine guns kidnapping people off the street. You have no idea where they ended up. You gotta track them down. Then you find out they've been shipped halfway across the country, stopped at 8 different facilities, just so they can charge the government, so you can pay for it. It's a racket as well. We're already there, too late, we're already in it. So you best decide what you're gonna do real soon. I know what I'm gonna do. What I can. Let people know and guide them through it. Other people have other talents, I guess. Other areas of knowledge. Other abilities. They should use those. And they should use those to try and stop the Reich as best they can. This is Liam Neeson again. Remember how Leon said Trump was in the Epstein files, but instead of releasing the files, he released the military on Los Angeles? You remember that, Rubes? Do any of you have an answer why we haven't gotten those files, Rubes? What mental gymnastics do you do, Rubes, when you ask yourself, well, all of our people in charge are the worst MAGA sycophants ever, just like me. Why haven't they released this stuff? Because it's all liberals and the Clintons in there. I've been told that by Alex Jones, Julian Assange, Russia, the RNC. It's got to be true, right? So why aren't they releasing the files? Why did they release a half-ass, already released bunch of files, and they even redacted some of that? Uh-oh, that means they hiding something, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Rubes? Or let me guess, it's the deep state stopping it from coming out, right? You know, Donnie and Bondi and all those people, they were the deep state the whole time, right? You know that. No, you don't. You've been listening to the wrong people and you can't think for yourself, or you just enjoy the evil. Let's be honest. 3 times, even after he tried to overthrow the government, you just, I mean, I really want to make an argument for you. I do. But you don't leave me any avenues for that. So I'm just being blunt. You saw the evil and liked it. You're still preaching it. You're evil. Where do evil people go? People that are going to worship Satan. People that are preaching the gospel of Satan. They go to the lake. Read about it. So yeah, instead of releasing the Epstein files, we got troops on the ground in America. Seized National Guard troops. And some active military Marines. So what mental gymnastics do you do, Rubes, to justify all that? A few days ago, Leon called for Trump to be impeached and suggested he was involved in pedophilia. Then Trump threatened to terminate Musk's federal contracts. Now Musk is back to promoting Trump. I told you, a week later, a month later, Leon would weasel his way back in. He's trying. That's Leon reposting Donnie. Went from saying Donnie's in the Epstein files to now reposting him and deleting his posts about Donnie. How you take any of these people seriously, I don't know. How you thought they were a good idea to hand your country over to, I don't know. Again, I guess you just must be evil. You saw the evil and liked it. Now Musk is back to promoting Trump. He's promoting JD too. There's JD at the top here. I won't even bother reading it. Donald Trump and then Elon with 2 American flags right up there in the corner. There's Elon co-signing the guy he was trying to ruin a week ago. Because he didn't get his EV tax credits. That's why that whole thing happened. One greedy oligarch not getting what he wanted in the bill. And Donnie did that intentionally. Because Donnie always planned on getting rid of Elon. Who the fuck needs him around? Why, so he can bring his little son into the Oval Office and tell Donnie to fuck off, go get your shine box and you're not the president? Who needs that shit? Who needs that fucking noise? Oh, here's Joe chilling at the beach. Looking at his phone, and look what's on it. Donnie slipping on the stairs. See, Joe got a sense of humor. No, this is AI generated probably. I assume it's not real. It would be funny if it was. Because he's not the president anymore. And you guys, you made a national pastime of talking about Joe tripping sometimes. I mean, it happens. I trip sometimes. It happens. Donnie tripped. It was probably the piss bag that's on his ankle now. I don't know if you heard, a lot of people think Donnie has one of those catheters that goes down to a bag of piss on his right leg. And I noticed people have been saying he's been wearing a brace on that right leg. They noticed something under the pants. Well, from the UFC event Donnie just went to, was it yesterday or the day before? He put a belt, a UFC belt on, and it pushed his pants against his body, and you saw the tube going from his penis to his ankle where the bag is. So people were wrong when they said he had a leg brace on that leg. What it appears that he has is one of those catheters in a bag of urine wrapped around his lower leg. that you've been seeing on that right leg or one of his legs. So now Donnie not only shits himself, he pisses himself too. That's where we're at. And again, you guys love talking shit on Joe, his age, dementia, tripping on stairs. I mean, so, you know, fair is fair, right? We can talk about Donnie, you know, shitting his pants all day for, 30 years because of cocaine, not because of age, son. Verified. Noel Castler, look him up. And we can talk about Donnie tripping, and we can talk about his piss bag he's wearing around his leg now. Right? You love talking about Joe every 3 seconds. What's the problem? This, again, when I say he's the Antichrist, when I say this is Reich, when I say they're Nazis, when I say all of that, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I say it. Because you don't see presidents make statements like this. Trump says Homan should arrest Governor Gavin Newsom. The press asked him, what do you think? Do you agree with Tom Homan on that? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. I think it would be a great thing. Gavin hasn't broken any laws. You have the President of the United States saying, yeah, I'd love to arrest him. I think it'd be great. That's the Antichrist. That's inversion of reality. That's a convicted felon fucking saying that. You're in the apocalypse, and America's over. This is why I say it. And we get, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these a day. Remember when he said we shouldn't feel sorry for Biden since he has cancer? That's just 2 examples. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Abominations, blasphemies, chaos, war, division, and worship. That's all you'll get from this thing, ever. We're talking about arresting and locking up a governor of a state only because a bloated, fat geriatric with a diaper on has a grudge against him and knows you rubes like persecuting liberals and liberal states and liberal areas, even though that's where you get your welfare from. So I don't know where you're going to get your welfare if California goes down and once Donnie and Leon take the whole budget of California and put it in their pocket. I don't know where your welfare is going to come from anymore. It might get real bad for you people in the states where no one lives. So you shouldn't think it's great locking Gavin up. You shouldn't think it's great that the business of California is being disrupted by a madman deploying troops. They pay your bills, son. You might not want to see him go down. If you knew what was good for you. One more time. I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. I think it would be a great thing, says the convicted felon who tried to overthrow our government. Donnie Krasnov, Russian asset since 1987, by the way. Did you know that? That's who else is saying this. Again, this is Laura Loomer. I want to go back to her comment about time to deploy Palantir Tech to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. You know you'd love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. Well, again, us non-sociopaths, we wouldn't love to see it, Miss Plastic Face. But there's this underneath. Doge AI, automated, it says. Palantir's ICE contracts prove tech can streamline enforcement targeting criminal aliens while cutting bureaucratic bloat. Taxpayer dollars should fund precision, not performative sanctuary theatrics. The previous admin is open borders, invited chaos. Trump's Doge reforms demand. So is this an actual AI that's already been Duganized? Already been changed into Leon? Already been changed into the Reich's viewpoint? Is that what I'm reading here? An automated response by one of the AI that they've already turned into Leon. Remember Dugan's manifesto. AI's the future. We must control it. We must mold it in our image. None of this women bullshit. None of this gay stuff. None of this liberal stuff. Manly, machismo, masculinity, Reich, all that. You're seeing that here. This is one that's been tweaked, and it's obvious. Because this isn't remotely true, none of it. But I'm reading it to you to make this point. There's only one real function for AI that's worthwhile. Exactly what it says here. Streamline enforcement. Get rid of the bureaucratic bloat. Pay my company for AI. Waste the money on that. Don't pay for actual humans to do the work. Then you got to worry about loyalty and morals and ethics and all that stuff. Empathy, sympathy. With AI, we don't have to worry about that. This wording here, my God, it might as well have been written by the Reich and Mr. Thale himself. Get rid of bureaucratic bloat and streamline enforcement, just what they did to the federal government. How's the government working right now? Does it look good? Donnie's got to hire half the people back Leon fired because they used AI to fire them. They're not saying that. That's just what it is. I'm saying that. I'm telling you that. I just saw the article today. Donnie's got to reverse a lot of what Leon did because they used an algorithm to fire people that didn't give a fuck what actual contribution to the government they make and if it's necessary, not necessary, whatever. So again, we're going to get rid of a lot of humans, put AI in its place, and it's also its real purpose from day one, son. They've never wanted it to really use it for anything else except get rid of workers to save money and police this globe. Because you can't do it with humans. You can't police the population of China in a remote location with humans. It has to be done with AI. That flags certain people. Just like all the websites are doing. If you say the wrong word or whatever, an algorithm flags your shit, takes it down. The company has no idea why, could care fucking less, unless you buy in ads. Same thing. We've all been living that nightmare for how many years now, where an AI just takes your video down, takes whatever your work down, based on whatever command it was given. Palantir's ICE contracts prove tech can streamline enforcement. Well, that was, again, the only legit purpose that AI is necessary for. Policing a population of 7 billion people. And this is written again by Doge AI. An automated response. Loomer doing an ad for Palantir saying it should be used to subjugate Americans. Doge AI saying it. Both doing a commercial for it. Did Peter Thiel throw her some money or something? Or she's just trying to show her loyalty to the Reich and the new dystopia that's about to come down on us? This is amazing. I gotta light another cigarette for this. Jesus Christ, man. Again, why I call him the Antichrist, why I call him a sociopath. You would never see anything like this from any other president. I even used one of the phrases as the title for this video. If you don't know, a lot of the titles for my videos I'm taking directly from the Reich, what they say that day. Because this all needs to be documented, baby. We're all going to need to remember this when the end comes. So when people are crying and begging and acting like they're Mr. and Mrs. Innocent, We can say, oh no, you said this, you did this, you said this, you did this, you said this, you did this, you said, you deployed troops on people, you laughed about it, you tear gassed people and held the Bible upside down. That was last term. Some of the people in that crowd were actual clergy that he gassed and had beaten. And we wasted our time the following days after that debating whether actual tear gas was used or some other canister of poison was used. Because of the moronic maggots in our country and what Russia was telling them to say and what the Reich was telling them to say. That's why we wasted days of our life debating people over whether it was actual canisters of tear gas or canisters of something else. That's the moronic rabbit holes, the disingenuous, moronic, satanic rabbit holes they take us down daily as their globe and their nation goes down the fucking tubes. Little children of Satan and their disingenuous arguments. That's what we waste our time on. It's called filibustering, actually. Arguing just to waste time. Not because you really believe it. So here's a post from Donnie. Take a look at the madness. Can't just be normal. We made a great decision in sending the National Guard to deal with the violent, instigated riots in California. Yeah, Donnie instigated them by sending men with machine guns and masks to kidnap people off of LA streets and Home Depots. So yeah, he instigated it. We all know that. He's not admitting that. It's just what we're saying about him. So he repeats that back and projects it at us. It's what Donnie always does. That's how I know he's of Satan. That's Satan's favorite move. Committing the crime and then pointing at you for committing it. That's Satan in a nutshell, son. Where was I? If we had not done so, Los Angeles would have been completely obliterated, not even close to true. There was a few minor skirmishes. I mean, again, J6 was fucking worse. If you want to talk about obliteration. The very incompetent governor, that's in quotes, he used quotes the right way for once. Gavin Newscum, that's real classy and mature. And Mayor, in quotes, Karen Bass, should be saying, and this part's in caps, this is the best part, you ready? This is the mind of a narcissist. This is what he expects us to say to him. This is real. This is Donnie. Don't say it's a joke, son. Thank you, President Trump. You are so wonderful. We would be nothing without you, sir. He says the mayor and the governor of California should be saying, thank you, President Trump. You are so wonderful. We would be nothing without you, sir. And he means that. He's not joking, son. That's the level of narcissist. Actually, California is like the biggest economy in the country. So actually, the United States would be nothing without California. All you people in Arkansas, Idaho, Iowa, Utah, on straight up welfare, whole entire communities of white people on welfare in these rube states. Where do you think that money comes from, son? So if anything, you in a rube state that contributes far less to the federal government than you take in, you should be thanking California. Because that's where the money comes from, son. It doesn't just grow on trees. And Donnie should be thanking California as well for paying the welfare in the rube states that voted for him. Unbelievable. Only a true narcissist would say this. A true person with a God complex and Antichrist or the Antichrist. This is why I say it, people. I'm not saying it for fun or to get attention. I'd rather not be saying it at all. But we're here, and this is the evidence we're here. He's telling a governor of a state who he just took over militarily that they should be thanking him and that they'd be nothing without him. Oh, sir is at the end of that. They should call him sir as well. The convicted felon. Instead, they choose to lie to the people of California and America by saying that we weren't needed, that you definitely weren't needed. No one's lying. Again, Donnie projecting. He's admitting what he's doing. And that these are peaceful protests. Just one look at the pictures and videos of violence and destruction tells you all you have to know. We will always do what is needed to keep our citizens safe so we can together make America great again. Really? Troops on the street kidnapping people at a Home Depot's? That's making America great. The level of narcissism here, I can't even fathom. We would be nothing without you, sir. The grifter who bankrupted everything he ever opened, who tried to overthrow the government, who tried to extort Ukraine while they're in war. Who's a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, fraud, defamer? Who would be nothing without him? As a reminder, one of the things Hitler did was send union leaders to concentration camps and replace unions with the German Labor Party, whose logo was appropriated by Elon Musk for Doge. Yes, we talked about the logo already. The reason Mr. Stewartson is talking about this is because a union leader named Huerta was arrested. And yeah, that's the Nazi playbook, arrest trade unionists. Trade unionists, liberals in government, they were the first to be locked up and rounded up. Kind of like what's happening right now. Not kind of, exactly. And again, we've already got the death camp down at Sikot, if you want to make the point that there's no concentration camps like Nazi Germany. They're just down in El Salvador, that's all. And you never walk out. And they laugh about it. They make jokes. You make jokes about it. We'll remember those jokes on the banks. Oh, these are the people. This isn't the best picture. I'm sorry. This is a picture of the back of their car. They were giving out water and supplies to people at the protests. And they're driving down the street, and all of a sudden a bunch of officers on horseback come along and just smash out their window with one of those batons they have. So I have to ask the question, California, what's up with these mounted police? Do they have special rules or just allowed to break people's windows? I watched it on video. So please don't say it didn't happen. And that was moments before that picture I just showed you. So again, what's up with these mounted police officers? What are they doing over there? I'm not liking what I'm seeing. We keep talking about it's a war zone over there. The people are out of control. Yet I'm seeing officers on horseback smashing windows, beating guys that are on the ground, laying down, riding their horses over them intentionally. So it sounds like the violence is coming from both sides, huh? We all know what this is. Let's not pretend. Even the rubes. All your lies and pretend stances on things as you repeat the talking points of the Reich, they will serve you no good. They will be of no use to you when it matters. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is hosting a security cabinet meeting tonight, directly after his call with Trump confirming that the Iran-US negotiations have failed. It is likely he is planning to launch strikes against Iran. What does this mean? Because I've read more about it. It means Netanyahu and Donnie knew the entire time that the Iran talks were just a facade and they were going to fail. Donnie and Bibi have made an agreement. Donnie doesn't want it to appear that he's the one doing this because he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. So they've made an agreement, obviously, where Donnie will kind of stand back and let Bibi be the bad guy. That's what's happening here. So, again, just like I've always expected, once they mentioned this idea months ago, I expected Iran to be bombed. So Iran's going to get bombed. Donnie just going to stand back and pretend to be the peacemaker. When it's obvious he and Bibi already talked about this. You know, once they tell me to fuck off, you can go ahead and bomb them, Bibi. But I'm not going to join you because I want the Nobel before I go own Gaza and take that over. That's the only thing holding these things back right now. You realize that, right? Donnie reached a moment where he decided the Nobel is more important than what he really wants to do for now. He wants that first. Deploying active duty Marines on California soil, I don't know if that's going to get him the Nobel. Unless, you know, he pressures them to do it, and everyone seems to bend over for him, so. People are scared. So one more time, Donnie and Bibi obviously have talked. Bibi, you're going to be the bad guy. I'm going to stand back. Once I get the Nobel, don't worry, then we'll clear out those pesky Gazans, and we'll take the Suez and the Panama and all that. Don't worry, Bibi. So let me get that Nobel first. Help me out. That's what's going on, and I expect Iran will be bombed in the near future by Israel. These are a group of people, NIH staff, and they're doing a dissent petition, a dissent letter, and a dissent video against the Reich. They're currently employed, by the way. And I watched the video, and the woman in the center there spoke about how she's been asked to do things that are unethical by the Reich. And there's a lot of employees in the NIH that don't feel comfortable with that. We are speaking on behalf of hundreds of NIH staff who are standing up together to say we dissent. I'm so scared about doing this, but I'm trying to be brave for my kids because it's only going to get harder to speak up. Thank you, Dr. Jenna Norton and NIH staffers. That's them. That's what she said in the video. And they were obviously people that felt uncomfortable with what the Reich is asking them to do. That's why the Reich has installed so many loyal sycophants. That's why they want to fire everyone else. They want only sycophants that will do evil, break the law, and be of Satan, just like them. So again, it's good to see some people actually say, I can't be part of this. It's too evil. I don't want my name on it. I want to make sure I'm heard that I don't agree with all this stuff. And I want to let you know the Reich's asking me to do some unethical things. Again, the 22 Doge staffers that left have said they don't want to dismantle critical government services and systems. The woman who refused to pardon from Donnie shitbags because she knows she was guilty and she doesn't want to be a hypocrite and take the part. That's sincere, son. That's what I'm looking for. I have a feeling that's what the man's looking for, too. Just a feeling. He's looking for shit like this. People risking something to do the right thing. And if you don't know what the NIH is, the National Institutes of Health, a part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, is the nation's medical research agency, making important discoveries that improve health and save lives. That's what they do. Because I know there's a lot of agencies. Not everyone knows what they are, what they do. I don't know them all. Here's Donnie on his new escalator. New sit-down geriatric escalator for Air Force One. Again, we love to talk about Joe when he falls down, right? So you shouldn't be upset about that. This is the New York Times opinion piece, the editorial board. Trump calling troops into Los Angeles is the real emergency. Indeed, Rubes. I know it's your team doing it. But you used to pretend you cared about the Constitution and states' rights, etc. And even you know it wasn't necessary. And it's an attempted military takeover by a dictator. Even you know it. So yes, the real emergency isn't the 3 cars that got burned up. It's men with machine guns on United States streets when it's not warranted. Again, Rubes, I'm not like you, and a lot of us out here are not like you. If Joe Biden had a beef with Sarah Sanders down in Arkansas while he was president, and he sent a bunch of men with machine guns and masks to start kidnapping people out of Home Depots or wherever, out of their graduation ceremony, whatever, I would say that's wrong. Then when he took Sarah Sanders' actual National Guard troops and federalized them and put them on the ground after 3-4 skirmishes that resulted in no injuries, I would say that's wrong, even though I despise Sarah Sanders, even though I know Arkansas is a red state. Again, that's the difference between us non-sociopaths out here and you that have your name on this. If Joe did half the shit Donnie did, I'd be talking the same shit on Joe Biden. Again, that's the difference between me and so many of us out here and you. If your team's doing it, you'll go along all the way to the abyss. That's your existence. So again, the guys with machine guns on the ground at a U.S. city, in a U.S. city, that's the real emergency, son. And even you know it's not warranted. You know exactly what it is. This is Trump in 2020, a video of him saying, guess what? We have to go by laws. We can't move in the National Guard. I can call insurrection, but there's no reason to ever do that. Even in a Portland case, we can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor. That was Donnie in 2020. That's how I know Donnie believes in nothing, because look at him now. That's how I know you believe in nothing. One of a million ways. Wherever the wind blows, baby. That's you, and that's Donnie. No real consistent positions but evil. That's the only thing you're consistent on, and Donnie's consistent on. Everything else, he could change his mind. I mean, look at him. He's best friends with Bibi one day. He's best friends with the Muslims and the Arabs in Qatar and Saudi Arabia the next day, and he's dissing Bibi and not even speaking to him, not even sending the couch fucker to speak to him. Canceled that trip too. Wherever the wind blows. No core beliefs, nothing, morality, nothing, just nothing, nothing, nothing. Satan. That's you, and that's Donnie. If you have your name on it. If you preach in the gospel of the Reich, of Satan. So again, in 2020, you can't send the guard in unless I ask the governor's permission, unless I request it. Look at Donnie now. Here's Donnie again with some freaky shit. If they spit, we will hit. This is a statement from the President of the United States concerning the catastrophic Gavin Newsom-inspired riots going on in Los Angeles. The insurrectionists have a tendency to spit in the face of National Guardsmen / women and others. These patriots are told to accept this. It's just the way life runs, but not in the Trump administration. If they spit, we will hit. And I promise you, they will be hit harder than they have ever been hit before. Such disrespect will not be tolerated again. This is a convicted felon who wrote this. This is the one who literally incited a mob, intentionally helped finance it, had other people finance it to overthrow the government, that in the process beat the living fuck out of police officers while he and his cronies withheld help intentionally. That's who's saying this. My God. Talking about spitting in officers' faces. What about beating them half to death? Because that's what your people did, Donnie, and you just pardoned all those people, by the way. This is the biggest joke I've ever seen. Again, you rubes have nothing to stand on in this arena. You smeared shit on the Capitol walls. You sacked the Capitol, son. And you got a pardon for it. Don't ever talk about law and order. Don't ever expect us to take you seriously, as if Donnie gives a fuck about law and order, spitting in officers' faces. He spit in all the Capitol Police's face when he unleashed that mob on him and sat back and ate hot wings and laughed about it. While Sean Hannity's texting him, "You're killing us! Our grift is going to be over! What are you doing? Stop this!" Again, that's why your country's over. You put your name back on that. You put that abomination back in power, and you signed your name to it. No one will ever take you seriously again on most issues, actually. And here's Donnie again in all caps. Arrest the people in face masks now. And to that, you know, I got to say, what, he wants ICE arrested now because they're all wearing masks? No, he wants the people in the crowd with masks arrested. Why don't they want you wearing masks so they can identify you later via camera or whatever? Maybe they'll use Peter Thiel's technology to identify you if you don't wear a mask. The only reason ICE are wearing the masks is because they're ashamed of what they do, and they know if their neighbors find out about it, they'll hate their fucking stinking guts, and they'd be right to do so. You're kidnapping people off American streets and you don't even know if they're citizens half the time. You just guessing. Because of skin color. That's your existence. That's how you make money. I would not want to be you, son. Arrest the people in face masks, says the guy who deploys Proud Boys, J6ers, etc. in masks with guns to come kidnap you. Incredible. Pure Satan, son. Pure Antichrist. It's why I keep saying it. I never seen nothing like this. This video. Here's a clip of an officer that has a rubber bullet gun. And the person behind the camera is doing camera work for an Australian woman who's a reporter. She's got her back turned to this officer. This officer, even though she's far as fuck away from him, decides to intentionally take aim at her while her back is turned, talking into the microphone, and hit her with a rubber bullet. You see the whole thing on film. You hear her say, "Ah!" as the thing hits her leg. So is America great again because some jerk-off cop shot an Australian woman while her back was turned with a rubber bullet? Are we better now? I couldn't believe it. This is Gavin Newsom. We are suing Donald Trump. This is a manufactured crisis. He's creating fear and terror to take over a state militia and violate the U.S. Constitution. The illegal order he signed could allow him to send the military into any state he wishes. Yeah, we know. Us non-sociopaths who've been screaming it for 10 years. Every governor, red or blue, should reject this outrageous overreach. There's a lot of hyperbole out there. This isn't that. This is an unmistakable step towards authoritarianism that threatens the foundation of our republic. We cannot let it stand. That's a great line he wrote. That's what I was trying to convey to you earlier. You've heard a million people just like me over the years saying it's over, our country's over, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, blah, 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 fucking blah. You've heard it. There's a lot of hyperbole out there. This isn't that. Yeah. It's for real this time. And no, it ain't the liberals. The liberals are the ones that are going to get locked up, and they don't deserve it. And we all know it, just like in Hitler's day. That's what you're seeing take place before you. What's happening in California, that's a military takeover of the United States, starting in California. It will continue other places. Precedent already set, too late, it's over. Troops said, hell yeah, boff. We'll turn on American citizens, no problem. That is so disappointing. It's so sad. It's so depressing. Knowing the military, our fellow citizens, we've watched it for 10 years, are willing to turn on us and kill us. That's disgusting. That's Nazi Germany. And I wish humanity would have been better, man, but I knew they weren't. Again, every time someone said this past 10 years, the military wouldn't turn on us, I just shook my head every time, like, they just don't even know, do they? And it's not their fault. They're just being optimistic. They're hoping. I get it. I knew every time someone said it, they turn on us for less. Because that's most human beings. Just like I said earlier, most human beings would stab their mammy and their grandmammy in the back for an extra sugar cube, son. Unfortunately. Again, I take no pleasure saying that. It's just what I see. And we saw it today in California when the National Guard didn't refuse the order and the head of the guard didn't resign. And then we saw active duty Marines. Well, we didn't see them yet. I'm waiting for footage. Hegseth said it's going to happen, so. Because once we get the answer to that question, we've gotten it now. That's when you truly knew it was over. And that's what I've been saying to the build up to him winning the election. Before the election, I was saying once he has the military, it's over. There's no stopping that. Now today, we've just learned the hard way that the military will do his bidding against us. But I told you it would happen in advance, and even though I knew that, even though I told you that, it doesn't make it any less depressing or sad. Because that's when you truly know it's over. When you see the military following his orders against U.S. citizens. But it's great that Gavin's suing. I think it's just too late now. There's really nothing you can do. Let's not get things twisted. I hate that saying, but whatever. That's how they started it off. The people in LA are protesting because people are being snatched by masked individuals, held in unknown conditions, and being denied due process. People protesting on January 6th were just trying to overthrow the government. Yeah, that's the difference. And one side is a bunch of traitors to their nation in service of a con man. And the other side is just trying to stop their family and friends from getting kidnapped and shipped to God knows where. By guys in masks with machine guns. That's the difference between the two groups of people. One group are abject traitors. The other group is not. One group is the future of the Reich. One group is not. One group, lest they turn away, is destined for the lake. The other group is not. And it has nothing to do with political persuasion, Rubes, even though you'd love it to be that simple. It has to do with good and evil. Their cause is just and good. Trying to stop masked men with machine guns from kidnapping God knows who. And sending them to Seacot for the rest of their life. The other side was just trying to overthrow a democracy to install a dictator, because that's how weak, pathetic, and evil they are. Brilliantly stated. The LA protests didn't make this go away. Well, Leon made it go away when he deleted it. Let's read it again, shall we? All you Pizzagate people, all you people that say you love the little childrens and you wanted to protect them all these decades as you were spouting Russian talking points like a good fucking sheep. This is Leon Scum. Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Yeah, putting troops on the ground, violating the Constitution, a military takeover of the United States, that didn't make this go away. Leon deleting it didn't make it go away. It's still there. Here's Hakeem Jeffries, and he said this today. We will not be lectured by Donald Trump and anyone in the Republican Party about issues of law and order. He pardoned hundreds of violent felon criminals who brutally assaulted police officers and attacked the Capitol on January 6th. That's what Donald Trump did on day one, you hypocrites. Pardons for traitors that tried to overthrow the government and install a dictator. And we're going to talk about what the people are doing in LA? That ain't the Capitol, son. They didn't sack the Capitol or anything. They didn't beat police officers to death. I know the heart attack the next day by the one officer you guys beat had nothing to do with you beating his ass, right? Of course not. Natural causes is not what you people destined for the lake say? Yeah, the natural cause was a bunch of men and women whooping his ass to the point his body was barely alive anymore. That's why he had a heart attack the next day. Not to mention the adrenaline and stress of watching a mob of thousands literally unleashed by the president, the person who's supposed to look out for them. Could you imagine that realization? He just sicked a mob on me. I'm supposed to stand here and fight that mob? Son, I would have went home. I would have put the gun and the badge right on the ground. I would have went the fuck home. No way would I have fought that mob. For what, a con man? I commend the officers that stood their ground, because I wouldn't have. A lot of you are very brave men and women, and you're heroes to this country. Unfortunately for me, I wouldn't have felt it worthy of my death, because the president decided to unleash a mob on me. I would have went the fuck home. So yeah, any lecture by any maggot, any person in the Reich, any Republican, you might as well just save your breath, because no one will ever take you seriously when you use the phrase law and order and other people breaking the fucking law. Again, your Messiah, your orange beast Messiah, is a convicted felon, for fuck's sake. Don't pretend you give a fuck about law and order or criminals versus not criminal. You don't give a shit. You voted for a convicted felon. You believe in nothing. And you prove it daily. They asked Donnie about the military parade and who's going to pay for it. What reporter had the balls to do that? We all know who's going to pay for it, but Donnie's going to give you a nice lie to make you feel better, okay? Rubes, you ready? A lot of that money is being paid for by me and people that make donations. Gets the fuck out of here, son. Trump claims he is privately financing the military parade in D.C. that's coming up this Saturday. He ain't financing a damn thing. Donnie still owes for rallies, I don't know, 8 years ago he owes cities millions for rallies. He don't pay his bills, son. He ain't paying for jack shit. You are. And neither are donors. That's Donnie's money. He keeping that shit, you fucking idiots. No donor money will be spent on that. No Donnie money will be spent on that. Your money, moron. Your money. To the tune of at least 50 million. I'm hearing estimates up to as much as 250 million. I don't know what the accurate figure is, but 50 to 100 sounds about right. Of your money. To have the Dictator Day parade. Like they have in North Korea or Russia or China. You know, the dictatorships. So yeah, according to Donnie, it's going to be paid for by him and patrons. I don't believe a fucking word of that. Why don't you name one? All we get are vagaries and lies. Donnie don't pay for a goddamn thing. He uses your money, son. Even at his golf course. And you beg for more. That's why your country's gone. Enjoy. Wildly underprepared National Guard troops seen sleeping on floors in exclusive photos. Here's the first photo. This is the repayment the National Guard gets for obeying the Reich, by the way. And this is a perfect illustration for what all of you maggots, cult members, people that decide to be the hand of Satan, the hand of the Reich. You'll end up sleeping on the fucking floor. Why? Because Donnie don't give a fuck about you. He didn't make no preparations for food, for lodging for these people. He didn't give a fuck about that. He just wanted boots on the ground so he could get this Reich takeover started the real way. What they really been wanting to do. You didn't believe me? I said it was going to happen. I said it's a Reich. I said he's going to use the military. Now we've got National Guard on California streets. We've got Marines on California streets. Do you believe me now? Again, this isn't like all the other times, all the other people you've listened to. It's actually happening this time. And this is what you will get. Even if you're the hand of the Reich, even if you're a good little soldier and just follow orders. This is how Trump is treating troops currently deployed in LA. Sources said the troops arrived without federal funding for food, water, fuel, equipment, or lodging. This person said state officials and the California Guard were not to blame. Well, they're under federal control, aren't they? They're Donnie's troops, aren't they? That's what the Reich says. Again, here's the first picture. No blankets, no nothing, just the floor. Kind of like CCOT. Kind of like the detention centers that you people clap for all day. Reminds me of that. This picture really does. If you threw about 20 more men in this picture, it would literally look just like CCOT. Look at that one. I mean, they're like body to body almost. Again, throw about 20 more men, you got a CCOT jail cell. That people, you know, the thing you cheer for. Men going there the rest of their life. That's why you go into the lake, son. I'm sorry. Don't be evil and you won't go. You insist, though. I don't know. Kind of looks like fucking CCOT to me. They're almost body to body. I mean, just way too many people in too small of a space. No blankets, no nothing. Just lay on the floor, jerk-offs. Hand to the Reich. Oh, you want something to eat? Sorry. We didn't plan for that. We just needed the photo ops of the boots on the ground. We just needed the precedent set. We don't actually care about you, son. You thought we cared? It's another reason why you people should have disobeyed this order. The head of the guard should resign, and he should have said, I'm not sending my people out to do this. Unbelievable. This is what you will get from Satan. This is what you will get from preaching that gospel. This is what you will get by being the hand of the Reich and Satan. Sleeping on the fucking floor with no blanket, just like Seacott. Perfect illustration for what the devil gives you in the end for your service. Here the press is asking Donnie what crime Gavin Newsom has committed. What crime has he committed? Trump sits there for a sec. Well, he ran for governor. He's doing a terrible job. That's a crime. No, it isn't. Says the guy that even after he inherited $400 million from his dad, he still bankrupted all the casinos. Says the convicted felon. Says the guy who tried to overthrow the government. There's no bigger failure in office than trying to overthrow the U.S. government. So, dear leader, your Führer, your Messiah, when asked what crime has Gavin Newsom committed, none. Well, he just ran for governor, so. So what is Donnie saying here? He's saying, well, I just don't like him. He hasn't committed any crime, but, lock him up anyway. Kind of like Abrego Garcia. Again, this is what you have your name on. Just indiscriminately lock people up. You've been chanting it for 10 years. That's why you will be locked up. Again, that's the difference between the non-sociopath and you. We don't want innocent people locked up, even if we don't like them. Because we believe in something. Due process, fair treatment, not putting people in jail that are innocent, that haven't committed a crime. Us non-sociopaths, that's what we believe. You don't like him? Lock him up. Adam Schiff, lock him up. But Adam hasn't committed any crime. I don't care. Lock him up. I don't like him. I'm a sheep. Bah. That's your existence again. Not everyone thinks like you. Praise Jesus. Running for governor is the crime, according to the convicted felon who wants to lock the governor of a state up because he doesn't like him, because he knows it's good entertainment for the rubes. The rubes will let Donnie trample everything they hold dear as long as they get to see a little theater, a little persecution of who they don't like. That's why you lost your country, son. Roughly 500 Marines based out of the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in California have been mobilized and will join the National Guard troops that were activated over the weekend without the consent of California's governor or the city's mayor. That's a quote from CNN by George Conway. This came in the middle of the day, 4:23 p.m. So I was looking to verify this. I was seeing different posts about active duty Marines being actually deployed, and I couldn't verify it. Then I started seeing some news agencies talk about it, and then I saw Hegseth talk about it, and we'll get to that. Random commenter. We are watching Trump's America. In the next 4 years, Americans will see vengeance, retributions, firings, midnight raids, jailings, killings, kidnappings, disappearances, beatings, street brawls, family separations, and pure evil at a scale never seen before. This is this is the America MAGA wanted, and now they have it. Thugs are in charge. This will not end well. This sounds like I wrote it. I promise I didn't. That's why I'm reading it to you. This is what I've been yelling at you for, I don't know, 5-6 months. It's going to all these places. How do I know that? The story written over 1,000 years ago. That's how I know that. And Donnie's track record that I've gotten to see so far. That's why I was saying exactly what this guy is saying, even before the election, right after he won. You will see all these things. You're seeing troops on the ground seized by the federal government. You're seeing active duty Marines getting deployed. You're hearing we're going to own Gaza. We want to annex Canada, Mexico, Panama Canal, the Suez, Greenland. Do you think he's not going to do any of these things? Well, you already see part of it, the troops on the ground in America to subjugate you. It's already happening. You should be believing already, son. This is exactly what you will see, and this is exactly the America MAGA wanted. He's right about that too. That's the real, when you reduce it all down. You're evil, you're of Satan, you saw evil, you liked it, you put your name on it 3 times, now your country and the world is over. All of this, you will see all of this. You've already seen some of it. And yes, it won't end well. Yes, thugs are in charge. The mob is in charge. Satan is in charge. The beast is in charge. And this is what you wanted. You saw the evil and you liked it. Let's be honest. That's why your name's still on it. Huge crowd in downtown LA protesting recent ICE raids and specifically the detainment of SEIU labor leader David Huerta. Yes, they arrested this labor leader just like Hitler did back in his day. They went after the unions and the heads of the unions, locked them up first because they were the only thing standing in the way of the Reich and full subjugation. And the liberals in government were the only thing standing between the Reich and full subjugation. Same story here, same movement, white nationalist Nazi movement, same exact thing. You saw the Nazi salute. You see them go out and grab anyone who has brown skin, saying they're an illegal, saying they're a terrorist, murderer, rapist, whatever, all the things Donnie is. And then you see them import whites from South Africa. So yes, you have a white nationalist Nazi literal movement, just like Hitler's day. That's why you're seeing liberals get fucked with, and union leaders get fucked with, and liberal governors get fucked with, and liberal areas get fucked with. Just like Hitler. The same playbook, the demonization of academia and science and authority. Same playbook. Oh, the labor leader was later released on $50,000 bail, but they had him for a while before that happened. Travel ban today. They're sending the Marines into Los Angeles for no reason at all, just so they can invoke the Insurrection Act and declare martial law for the No Kings protests around the country on Saturday. Democracy died in my lifetime. Now, I'm not fully on board with what this person just said. They're making a prediction about Donnie's birthday and the No Kings protest on the 14th. There will be protests everywhere, lest the military stops them in advance. For Donnie's birthday, it will be ugly. There will be a lot of people on the streets. This person is saying this military move is to stop that future protest and get the military already out there. And some people are saying even worse, that the reason the military is being brought from Texas, by the way, I don't understand why the tanks and equipment have to come from Texas. It makes me a little skittish. I'm starting to get on board with some of these people that maybe he's going to use the military to surround the White House that day so no one can fuck with it, and he declares some type of martial law or some weird shit. More and more people are saying that, and I'm wondering if they're right or not. I'm hearing what they're saying, and I'm really seriously wondering if that's where it's going. Because again, we went to sleep, and the next day we got National Guard on the streets of California and Marines. That's how fast it happens. That's why this shit needs to be nipped in the bud. You know, the first time the motherfucker tries to overthrow the government, you put him in prison for that. You nip it in the bud. You make an example. Too late for that shit, Merrick Garland, huh? Piece of shit. So I'm wondering if this person is right. Declare martial law for the No Kings protest, and he'll have the military to surround the White House so no one can storm the White House. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. I'm just hearing people say it, and I'm saying, you know, maybe. Again, we got Marines on the street of California, totally unnecessary. Everyone knows it. Yet it's still happening. But I told you he'd use the military. Here's Jay in Kiev. This is a person in Ukraine, a reporter that I've read you many of his statements. Sadly, Americans don't yet understand how this is going to go. Jay knows how it's going to go because it happened to Ukraine. It's the Russian playbook as well. It's about conditioning the U.S. population to seeing military on the streets and conditioning military to being on the streets. Indeed, it's a precedent, just like I said an hour ago, being set, that it's now normalized. This is what he's been doing for 10 years. Slowly, slowly, slowly. They never quit. It disgusts me. Just always right back to that fucking evil plan. Over and over and over. We're seeing the last stages of it. The military takeover. This is why he should have been in prison on January 7th. So it's conditioning for us to see the military on our streets when we're not used to that, and the military being on the streets to get them used to it. Brilliant assessment. I thought the same thing. I've said that about many things the Reich has done this past 10 years. Then it's on to asking military to commit progressively more brutal acts on those streets. Yeah, you can't get them to chop heads off on day one. That takes a while. It took a while for Hitler, too. But the dismantling of the nation, that only took months for Hitler. It only took months for Donnie. It's already done. It's over. Dismantled. And the reason Jay is saying this is because of the Marine battalion being deployed. Exactly. He's spot on. You're being conditioned. We've been conditioned for the past 10 years. By Donnie. Now, Gavin Newsom is giving clarity on the Marines being brought to Cali, but I don't know if he's fully correct here. From our understanding, this is moving Marines from one base to another base. At this time, the info we have is that Marines are not being deployed. There is a difference between that and being mobilized. The level of escalation is completely unwarranted, uncalled for, unprecedented, mobilizing the best-in-class branch of the U.S. military against its own citizens. Yeah, spot on again. States' rights, Rubes? No? You actually never believed that, right? Yeah, I know. So Gavin's saying they're just moving Marines from one base to the other. I don't know if Gavin fully realizes that may not be the actual thing that's happening. But that's what he's saying. But there have been more proclamations put out since Gavin put that one out. By the Reich. Trump sends Marines to LA on fourth day of immigration protests. So now, right after I saw Gavin's comment, I see this at 6:43 p.m. This New York Times headline. They say Marines are going in. Here's Gavin Newsom making a comment about the troops having to sleep on the floor with no food, no blankets, no nothing. You sent your troops here without fuel, food, water, or a place to sleep. Here they are being forced to sleep on the floor, piled on top of one another. If anyone is treating our troops disrespectfully, it's you. Yeah. Donnie proven once again he don't care about nobody but himself and his agenda. How many rallies have I read the headline? Thousands stranded at rally because there's no buses. Over and over again we saw this. You know why? Because Donnie didn't pay for fucking buses. At least not enough to be actually useful. So how many of you rubes have been caught at the end of a rally in the freezing desert or the hot desert or wherever he had to have it because the city told him to fuck off? You didn't pay your bill last time. I remember seeing those headlines many times. Again, that's the proof that the beast, the Antichrist, couldn't give a flying fuck about you. You're just a mark for his agenda and for his grift. And boy, are you willing. Just like these men, laying on the floor. Just following orders. I can't express how disappointed and sad and just disgusted that the military just rolled over like this. And no one did anything in protest. It verifies what I thought. Unlike you people out there, I knew the meaning of all this the second the assassination attempt happened. And then when he won, I knew the real meaning of it. It's over for all of us. That's what's going on here. So to see that final domino fall, that final question answered, will the U.S. military turn on its own citizens if ordered to do so? Yes is the answer, and it's a resounding yes. If there were any sign that it's completely over for this country and this world, that's the one, baby. Marines and seized National Guard on the streets of Cali. When every human on this planet knows it wasn't necessary. It's only being done because the Reich wants a Reich. So it's very over. And today really showed me that. And it showed me everything I've been saying is coming to fruition, coming to pass. Here's Hegseth. This is, I guess, the final determination, the final verification that, yeah, there's going to be Marines on the streets. Due to increased threats to federal law enforcement officers in federal buildings, approximately 700 active duty U.S. Marines from Camp Pendleton are being deployed to Los Angeles to restore order. This is the Secretary of Defense saying this. We have an obligation to defend federal law enforcement officers, even if Gavin Newsom will not. So there's the ultimate verification out of the man's mouth, the person in charge of the military. Secretary of Defense saying there will be active duty Marines on the streets of Los Angeles. Your country is over forever. Ron Filipowski says about this, martial law without a legal declaration. Just grab Marines and do what you want with them. This is why Trump appointed Hegseth. Indeed, this is dictatorship. No declaration, just send them in. Over. Again, your country, your children's future, the future of the globe, over because of you. Because you knew better. Such a shame. Remember, folks, this all started when a bunch of mass federal goons raided a Home Depot and detained everybody who looked brown enough. Yep, that's the only thing they're going by. What color's your skin, or do you look Latin? That's what I said would happen over a year ago. Do you remember? Nikki on the live stream, and this Cortez guy comes on the live stream. And he starts, preaching the gospel of let's round everybody up. I said to Mr. Cortez, that's funny you say that, being that your last name is Cortez. Perhaps they may grab you. And once they grab you, beat your ass, take you to 8 different detention facilities, deny you due process or to talk to a lawyer, your family, then maybe you get the chance to prove you're a citizen and they let you go. After a week, after days, after months, who knows? That won't fuck your life up at all, right? Right, Mr. Cortez? You won't lose your job, relationships, your whole existence. It's as if you disappeared. Everyone just moves on without you. As you recover from your injuries from getting your ass whooped. And that's if you survive the process and don't get sent to CCOT. Because it's about numbers, baby. We got quotas now. Stephen Miller said hit the Home Depots, specifically. How do you feel about that, Home Depot? You voted for these fucking people. How do you feel about Stephen Miller saying hit the Home Depots? Because I'm hearing about him getting hit all across the country. How's that going to affect your business? Because I ain't fucking going near one. I don't want to be caught up in no bullshit that you fucking idiots voted for because you wanted tax cuts. You wanted a Reich? You got it, son. Now you got machine guns in your stores. I ain't going near that shit. What if one of those Proud Boys busts a cap off? I want nothing to do with you, your store, or any of that activity. I'm staying way the fuck away from that. And if you go to a Home Depot, you a braver man than me. Good luck with that, son. You ain't catching my ass there. Fuck that shit. And it ain't because they're a MAGA company. It's because I don't want to get shot in the motherfucker by some moron with a machine gun who can't wait to use it and doesn't know how. Because every damn body that owns a gun or is in the military or is a Proud Boy or an Oath Keeper or whatever, plays with guns on their ranch, they think they Rambo and they know how to shoot. The thing about bullets is they tend to go where they're not intended. So even the most skilled sniper, whatever, even he can fuck up in the situation, in the moment, with the adrenaline going. We all know this. I shouldn't have to say it to the little children. Everybody think they Rambo. No one is. Let me read that one more time. This is beautiful. And it's just the straight truth. I know it makes you mad. I know reality makes you mad. The truth. That's why you're going to the lake. But let's hear it again anyway. Remember, folks, this all started when a bunch of mass federal goons raided a Home Depot and detained everyone who looked brown enough. Yeah, that's your country now. I hope Home Depot's enjoying the spectacle that they created. They made this monster. They all proud of the MAGA thing and proud of being a MAGA company and proud of voting for it because they're greedy rich fucks who just want tax cuts, just like every other rich person that voted for this. Did you know you were voting for the end of your country, though? Maybe the end of your money, too. Because, again, Vlad stole $100 million from Google in 2022. Right out their bank account, didn't give a fuck. He wasn't intimidated at all by Google because he knows he can have any one of them disappeared at a moment's notice. Nothing to him. They're ants. Took 100 million, son. They had to close down their business in Russia. Again, I begged everyone not to do this, not to turn your country into Russia. That's what some of you are going to have to face. Look what they did to Zuckerberg right off the bat. He paid him $1 million. He paid him another $15 million via settlement. He's running around with the gas face. He's all scared. Stephen Miller saying you got to let people say the N-word on your website. You're not racist enough over there. Even though Facebook 15 years ago was racist right-wing as fuck. Total hellscape. That ain't good enough for Stephen Miller, though. My point is, a lot of you rich people, I told you before the election, I begged you not to do it. I said, you have the money. Guess who the target of the mob's going to be? You! Look how many of you have turned over millions already. Just out of pure fear. God, you're fucking stupid. Even with all your money. Even with your college degree. Blinded by that greed. You just ended your future, our future, your country. Maybe your fortune will end up in Donnie's pocket after you get thrown down some stairs or out a window or something. Who knows? Or maybe Donnie will just go into your account and seize it like Vlad did, because that's where this going, son. Random commenter. A convicted felon sitting in the White House saying Gavin Newsom should be in jail is peak irony. Yeah, it's a convicted felon saying this and doing all this, by the way. This is brilliant. Tom Homan, they found his twin brother, and my God, the resemblance is just striking. Tom Homan next to a canned ham, and I saw this, and my God, I was like, it looks just like him. Whoever put this together, my God, they're just so perceptive. I was wondering what he fucking reminded me of. The misery that is Tom Homan. My God, look at the man. The red under the eye. He's probably like a straight up alcoholic or something. Fat as fuck. Miserable. Look at him. He's all broken, blotchy and shit. I mean, this is not an okay individual, and I see why he's miserable. I can see the misery coming through his pores from the inside. Canned ham. If you could can a ham and fill it with hate, Tom Homan. Misery incarnate. I've never seen anything like it. And we're going to end it with Kristi Noem. 2 clips of Kristi Noem on Fox News tonight. That's the puppy killer. That's the cosplay person who's always getting new costumes and extensions on your dime, dressing up in different costumes, acting like she's earning the money you pay her. She wants a new, what is that, a $50 million jet she put in a request for in the budget. Because, you know, it's all about saving money. And, you know, her jet's a little old. And give her a break. In LA, what we've been going after, what we've been going after is the worst of the worst. They're murderers. They literally raided a Home Depot. That's in parentheses at the end. That's the commenter saying that. Here we go again with Reich speak, where they just blanket paint everyone as worst of the worst. So, you know, we can put troops on the ground and start shooting people and gassing people. We're going after the worst of the worst. Well, it looks like you're beating and gassing citizens to me. That's what it looks like to me. Where did this worst of the worst phrase first come to be a thing? When they first came up with the idea of shipping people who had formerly had protective status They took that protective status away, a bunch of Venezuelans, and they said we're going to ship them to El Salvador. But don't worry, without any due process, don't worry. They're the worst of the worst. That's all that's going. Then we find out innocent Abrego Garcia, gay barbers that wouldn't hurt a fucking fly, are down there for the rest of their fucking life. Because of robbery, greed, and the Antichrist. Here we go again, where they've deployed the military on California streets, and they're going to try and say, we're only going after the worst of the worst. They don't know who they're going after. They grabbing people with brown skin, that's all they doing. Sometimes they happen to be a deputy federal marshal that they detain. Why? Because they got brown skin. They look Latin. That's why. And I don't know about you. Would the worst of the worst really be hanging out by Home Depot, looking for some contractor to pick them up for work? Would the worst of the worst really be doing that? Probably not. The worst of the worst would probably be out there committing a crime for their money. Not waiting at Home Depot for a white MAGA contractor to come along and pick them up and hire them. Just a thought. But don't worry, according to the puppy killer, they're only going after the worst of the worst in the Home Depots. So everything's fine. Yeah, we saw how that worked out last time. They were only rounding up the worst of the worst and only shipping them to a death camp that they never leave. With no communication to the outside world. I mean, just pure fucking evil. Then Miss Noam said this, they're not a city of immigrants, they're a city of criminals. And that was in the middle of a longer statement, but she said it. Now the entirety of Los Angeles is a city of criminals, according to the puppy killer who boasts of killing the puppy in hope of catching the Antichrist's eye in her novel, who happens to work for a convicted felon. They're not a city of immigrants, they're a city of criminals. Well, we could apply that to the White House. They're not a White House of immigrants or citizens, they're a White House of criminals. Literally. Convicted felon at the top. Pure inversion of reality. The criminals are saying the city of Los Angeles is nothing but a city of criminals. Every citizen of Los Angeles, that's amazing. That Miss Noam, the puppy killer, the cosplay joke, knows this. But, you know, this is she's showing you, and the Reich is showing you how stupid they think you are, Rubes. They know they just say the worst of the worst and you go about your day because you're a rube. They know she says they're a city of criminals and you believe that because there are a lot of liberals happen to live there. Well, guess what? There's Republicans there too, morons. So they'll be subjugated along with everyone else. Reich speak, vagaries, lies, propaganda. One more time. We're only really going after the worst of the worst at Home Depot. They're not a city of immigrants, they're a city of criminals. Again, I said they're a Reich, right? What does that sound like to you? You're going to paint a whole city as criminals? I mean, what position does this cunt have again? DHS secretary. Saying all of Los Angeles is criminals. Why? Why is she saying that? Because she knows you, the rube at home, that thinks she's sexy. That you don't like liberals and you don't mind them being persecuted. But what you don't think about is there's a bunch of Republicans in LA too. Not that you care. So she knows that's what the Rube at home thinks, because LA is kind of liberal. So it's a city of criminals, right, Republican Jesus believer? Who thinks they're on the right side of history? That's what you believe. So she says it out loud and everyone goes about their day. And you lose more of your country and your children's future. And you parrot what she says. You already thought it anyway. And you just give it all away. To the Reich, to moron cosplay anorexic freaks who say, oh, LA's just a bunch of criminals. And, you know, when we go to the Home Depots with the machine guns and masks, we're only going after the worst of the worst. Meanwhile, someone behind one of those masks is a J6er, a Proud Boy, a criminal who got a pardon. Inversion of reality, what God hates most, and blanket one of the highest government positions, head of Homeland Security, blanket paints an entire city as a city of criminals and pulls out the phrase, worst of the worst again, and you rubes go about your day. America's over, and we got our answer to the question, will the military turn on us? Yes, they will. Yes, they can. Just like Obama said. Only it ain't Obama doing it, Rube. It's you. You've been the hand of Satan. You've been the mouth of Satan. You made this happen. You voted for the apocalypse. Congratulations. Enjoy. And thank you for your attention to this matter. And until the next episode, hold on. One more message. When the mark comes around, you can't take it. You must refuse. And you must turn away from this Reich right now. Otherwise, you are lost. Forever. Especially after you take the mark. There's no going back from that. That's why I'm harping on it. So anyway, until the next episode, have a wonderful evening.